Is there a long trail mystery story that you feel especially passionate about? I know we talked about that hiker from 2011. Is there another one that you think doesn't get enough attention in the mass media?
So there was one story, the most viewed video on my channel, about a CDT hiker. His trail name was Otter. This story has gotten a lot of attention now because it fucking blew up on my channel. But before that, I'd never heard of it. And it's a crazy story. I'm probably going to butcher parts of it here, so I recommend that people there's some good articles on it online or go watch the video. But
I'm going to cut you off here and just put in a little, because you've said this for all the ones that you're talking about. It's really hard, just for the listener, it's really hard to recall, right?
Yeah.
Like you could do all the research in the world for something, to be able to recall it perfectly is really hard.
Yeah. I don't want to do like the victims a disservice or like disrespect. That's why I
just want to say that to echo you, because you're doing a good job there, but for everyone to know, to recall this kind of information is tough.
Yeah, I just don't want to get something wrong, and then because I don't know, it's like a lot of these stories I cover, they're quite sad, and I do my absolute best to like be good to the people involved with the stories and like respect them. And just my biggest fear is like I inadvertently, clearly, like do something wrong, and then people are like, you fucking assholes. Anyways, so the story of Otter, extremely experienced hiker. I know that he had Triple Crown for sure, and I believe that he had done all three trails at least 2 times, maybe even more, and he was on his like third CDT. So, but anyways, just probably one of the most experienced thru hikers out there. Like, that's not even exaggeration. And he was going southbound on the CDT, and very late season. Older gentleman, this is where I think he was in his 50s, I want to say. Slightly older gentleman. And he, Cumbres Pass in Colorado? Cumbres Pass. Hiking south, leaves from there in November, and he hikes about a day in, and then a storm. He actually hikes into New Mexico at this point, and a storm hits, and we don't even know for sure, but something overcame him where he didn't have the strength to hike out, and he tried to. He just couldn't do it. A ton of snow fell. It was just really difficult for him, so he ends up backtracking, and he stayed in this campsite for a long ass time. I want to say like close to 2 weeks. Just waiting for someone to rescue him. Didn't have a Garmin or any sort of satellite messenger. Didn't have cell service. He even took some videos, kind of being like, I think I know the story you're talking about.
Yeah. I think Outside did an article on this.
Outside did, yeah. And super sad videos, and like he was kind of like, I'm like going to be screwed if no one finds me. And he didn't really leave any solid plans with anybody. And again, I'm not trying to criticize him with this stuff, but these are all important things to know about the story, because those are some of the biggest lessons from it. And so he's stuck in this campsite for a while. He knows from previous experience that he can follow a Forest Service road down to a Forest Service campground where there's a pit toilet. And he ends up doing that, thinking that the toilet will give him some more shelter. When he gets down there, there's some like horse feed left over, so he's like eating the horse feed. At this point, it's been weeks. And he's just bunkering down in the shelter, and at this point he's been reported missing finally, although it did take a long time. And they're looking for him. There were some false sightings like further south in New Mexico that kind of threw off the search. They were looking down there, but it wasn't actually him. And eventually he just realized like he was going to die, and so he's stuck in this bathroom. And shortly before he died, he actually carved into the door on the bathroom, like he like put his name and put like dead inside. And he eventually just died in the bathroom. And it wasn't until the next spring that the first northbound CDT hiker came through, and he was aware of the man that was missing. Stephen Olshansky, I believe, was his full name. Otter was his trail name. And this northbound hiker was aware of what had happened because he'd been seeing the flyers, the missing posters and stuff. And so when he saw the name carved in the door, he was like, oh shit. And so he alerted authorities, and sure enough. And Otter left a journal, basically, that kind of detailed his ordeal. And it was, I don't remember exactly how long, but it was over a month, I believe, that he was stranded. And it was just an insane story. And when I heard it for the first time, someone had actually commented on a video. I mean, like, you should look into this story to potentially cover on your channel. And I was like, I even sent it to some friends. I remember when I first heard it, I was like, I cannot believe I've hiked the AT, most of the PCT, and all this other stuff. I'm so involved with this community, and I've never heard this story before, because it's crazy, first of all, and there's just a lot of takeaways in terms of if he should have hiked out that day, because he was, my understanding anyways, he was aware of the potential for the weather to come in. Obviously, an experienced hiker, he knows that, I believe it was November, maybe it was late October, but late season for hiking through Colorado and the mountains in New Mexico. And so he would have known that. He had even made some gear changes to compensate for the colder weather and stuff. And, you know, things to learn about, like, should you be carrying a spot device? That was the final straw for me after hearing that story, is when I finally bought one. I should have a long time ago, but that was the final straw there. After that story, I went and bought one, and just a lot of takeaways. It's just a crazy story. And that video absolutely blew up on my channel. And it's like, I don't know. I just hope that people that are going to be through hiking in the future, on one hand, I'm like, I don't want to scare anybody, obviously, but like that story and a lot of the other ones I've covered, I do think they're good to know. And honestly, like I just said there, it made me go buy the spot. And there's been other things too that I've changed or learned from covering these stories on my channel to, like, hopefully keep myself more safe and be more cautious. So I don't know. It's a fine line, because I don't want to scare people away from through hiking, but also it's good to know these things, you know?
I remember coming across that story and being blown away, because it's rare that you see these stories from people who are such experienced hikers. This guy had a ton of experience. Oh, yeah. And I think that was part of what made him so brazen, is like he's done so many things. At
a certain point, does the level of experience just like actually put you in more danger because you're more confident?
Right.
Obviously, if you're super inexperienced, there's a lot of risk there. But at what point does the level of experience actually you know, make it more dangerous?
Right.